everybody. Should be live on YouTube. I should be live in the VTF. Hopefully the YouTube works. I always feel like every time I change to a new location or I go back to a location, everything stops working. So hopefully the YouTube is normal. I'm trying to get it up right now on my other screen, but I don't see it. Let me start with the disclosure. I'm an associate member of T3 Trading Group, which is an SEC registered broker dealer and member of FINRA SIPC. All my trades are placed through T3 Trading Group. You should carefully consider whether trading is suitable for you in light of your own financial condition. Position disclosure. The new one there is SEDG, Solar Edge. It's from today. There's some new option stuff in there also, but it's kind of just continuations of previous, thanks Rich, continuations of some previous trades, just with new expiration dates. So there it is. I think 27 positions. Okay, let's jump in. Let's talk about today. SPY's up 0.15%, Q's up 0.3%, IWM leading, sorta, up 0.7%. So the Russell did lead higher today, but if you look at the daily candle, which we'll look at, I was disappointed by it. The Russell had a lot of relative strength pre-market this morning. Qs were like flat to down. IWM was up a bunch, and at one point the Russell was up like 1.3%. That 203.50 was acting as some resistance. It almost seemed like at about 11 o'clock, after we got this 15-minute correction, that we could try to break out intraday through 203.50 and maybe make a run after the 204 resistance level, but we failed. We fell down real hard here, like 11:30ish, and that leaves you with a not great looking daily candle. It's just more of the same, more of this big consolidation of nothingness on the IWM, while the Qs more or less continue to move higher. A little bit of a rest day today for the NASDAQ, which the NASDAQ needed. The NASDAQ was approaching extreme extension on Friday, I believe, into the close, and then again this morning pre-market. I had an alert out all day for 497.50 as a price to consider beginning to short some Qs just off that extreme extension, but the Qs just digested all day. Very, very boring QQQ 5-minute chart here. Very boring. Same thing with the SPYs. And then finally spiked to new highs right at the close with a large 5.5 billion to buy MOC. That triggered my 497.50 alert to potentially start shorting, but I wasn't going to short with just 4 minutes left in the day, when the next day these moving averages will catch up a little bit more and it'll be not quite as extremely extended. But at the close here, we basically have the QQQ $9 extended away from the 80 MA on the daily, even further from the 21. Notable that spread between the 8 and 21 is widening again. So that makes your extension even more extended, if you want to call it. Like $10 of extension when these widen is even more than if these were narrower and you kind of got to $10 of extension based on some ways that you can measure it. So we'll keep an eye on that for tomorrow. If we get a big gap up tomorrow in the Qs, or we get a big move higher intraday in the Qs, I may begin to building into some shorts, but I'm just being really cautious on that right now. We're still in a very bullish seasonal period here these first couple weeks in July, and as we kind of discussed in the morning meeting today, there's no real reason, at least in the beginning portions of this week, for us to have any significant pullback. We know that positioning is decently extended to the upside, that at like a 95 percentile, but that positioning only begins to unwind if you can get a pullback. And a pullback is just very hard to get right now when you're in a market environment that has $1 billion of positive gamma. Billion? Of positive gamma, just a really big number. So it really insulates those kind of intraday moves from the indexes. So you need something that can actually trigger a sell-off to begin. And then, as we know, markets work in feedback cycles. So at a certain point, you'll break downside levels that would begin to force an unwinding of the positioning that's becoming a little bit more extreme. So as per kind of the JP Morgan note that was out this morning, it's notable where positioning is, but it's not necessarily so extreme with a parabolic move higher that it is hitting a point where, you know, we should really be looking for the other side. And again, it's especially true when you combine that just with the seasonality right now of this being a really extremely strong week historically. There's no reason to, I think, quickly jump in front of this train. And if anything, what I would expect, at least in the beginning of the week this week, is for us to continue to grind higher. Potential catalysts for that to change could come in at the end of the week. I think we have CPI on Thursday, PPI on Friday, and earnings season technically begins at the end of this week as well with the bank earnings reports. Though the very beginning of earnings season with the banks is usually kind of a slow start. We're probably still a couple weeks away from the really big tech names to begin reporting. That could definitely shake up the market a little bit more than kind of where we're at. So yeah, you know, Qs here, 5 green bars in a row, getting close to extreme extension levels. I'm not afraid to slowly build into shorts if they get a little bit more extended, but I'm definitely not in a rush to do it right now with just how strong everything looks. And again, I really see no reason right now in the short run for this market to pull back. And what we discussed in the morning meeting today is that the most bullish thing that can happen, just because of how extended the Qs are, would be for the Qs to just go sideways and for the IWM to catch a bid. And it looked like we were getting that for the first hour and a half today. Qs were going sideways. They did their job. They went sideways all day. The IWM tried to catch a bid early, and I just don't like the degree of the upside tail. I needed to see really a close above 203 today for this Russell to begin to start to maybe sort of look healthy, like it could maybe sort of someday, some year in a planet far, far away, actually begin to catch a little bit of a bid. How did I just hear that sound come in? That's weird. Yeah, exactly, Cody. Exactly. Begin to maybe sort of actually begin to try to move up, as opposed to it just otherwise being NVIDIA and Apple kind of moving the market higher. Why can't I close this app that just opened? Or minimize it. I'm so bad at computers, it's insane. Anyway, so that's kind of the market. Again, just really look at this SPY candle today. Look at the range on this. Absolutely a whole bunch of nothing. Just nothing at all to talk about. Look at the intraday. Absolutely nothing. The IWM is where the potential action was, and it was a bit disappointing. But with all that said, we managed to find a couple decent trades. SEDG was my kind of idea of the day that I mentioned in the morning meeting. I started buying it pre-market. It got an upgrade from sell to neutral from Bank of America. I usually don't love the upgrades to neutral as much, but it was coupled with like a price target raise from like 26 to 44. And the stock is just super beaten up down here. And there's a gap that goes up to $32. So I thought, you know, with the upgrade, maybe we can get through this 21 EMA into this gap, catch a little bit of a trade there. And again, the $44 price target I thought was interesting with where it's trading and just how beaten up it is. They also came out and defended First Solar this morning, which didn't have as strong of a day, but it kind of put these solars in play a little bit. Well, SEDG was my focus of the day. I started small pre-market. I sized up in a significant way in this first candle when the market actually opened, and put a pretty big move in it. So that was a really good trade for me. I just kind of traded it actively, in and out, kind of some of that increment cash flow trading throughout the day, and it was really good. And I decided to keep some just based off the amount of profit that I have and see what it can do. So that was a big focus for me. The other idea from the morning meeting that I liked when we were reviewing what I refer to as our usual suspects, which is kind of just the mega cap, mag 7 stocks that we look at pretty much every day. The only one that I thought actually looked like a good setup was NVIDIA, believe it or not. Everything else was gone last week. Apple just in the stratosphere, just totally gone. Amazon actually was the other one that was still a potential setup through that 200. Looks like it pushed through and failed. But Google Google after Friday was gone. Now we have an inside day for tomorrow, so maybe that's a tradable setup. We can watch it. We can watch it tomorrow, obviously. Microsoft from Friday just gone, also giving an inside rest day today, so maybe that's a potential tradable setup for tomorrow. Tesla gone. All these names are gone. There's just no setup in any of them except NVIDIA. NVIDIA hasn't gone in the same way. It was pretty tight on Friday. They're not quite an inside day and was showing good relative strength pre-market. The Qs were flat. NVIDIA was up like 0.8% or a full percent, maybe something in that range when we were doing our morning meeting. So I figured if this thing could kind of get above yesterday's high, it would be a viable setup. And then it gave a great opening candle, good confirming volume. Second bar is that inside rest bar that sets you up for like the small time frame off the open 1, 2, 3 play. Again, good confirming volume here, breaks higher. So that was it. That was a good opening drive kind of trade, and then totally faltered here above 130. Broke above 130, tailed back down, failed back down into the equilibrium area, not the end of the world. Even this pivot here at 1020 overshoots on the downside where you would want to see this thing pivot, but not necessarily the end of the world for a volatile stock. But once this low broke at 1020, the trade was kind of shot. It technically never broke the opening low. If anyone was using the opening low as a stop loss, that never broke. I think that the better stop was actually the inside bar low. And again, once this pivot low here broke at 1020, it was shot. So that was an okay opening drive kind of trade. Outside of that, I mean, not much going on today at all. I mean, Tesla kind of continued to have some interesting action, but Tesla's so extended on the daily that it's hard to do anything new. And the way that I like to approach markets is a top-down approach. So you let the big picture technicals tell you kind of what you want to be in, and then you confirm them with what I always refer to as layers of probability. You could also refer to them as confirming factors. That means, is the stock in play? Was there news? Is there an increase in volume that's confirming those broader movements that you can be involved in? Is there a small time frame setup like a wedge or something in conjunction with the big time frame setup, that big time frame breakout? And that's just how markets work. Markets create setups, and then they either have those setups work or fail, and then they need to take the time to reset up to give the new setup. So when you're approaching the market on a day like today, where there's not really any economic news, there's not really any earnings reports, there's very little going on, yet last week a lot of stocks did kind of work, which probably a bunch of us didn't participate in because it was such a weird holiday trading session. I know I did trade a little bit every single day, but I mainly was just kind of managing the positions that I was in and not really doing anything new. And waking up this morning and trying to dive back in, I'm just going through daily charts, and I'm like, I got nothing to do here with any of these setups. So I think we had a brief little chat about it in the VTF at one point. The best thing to do today was pretty much to do nothing, just to be patient. You let those daily chart setups come back to you, and they'll set up again, and then the next move in Tesla or whatever other stock where you can get this move from 200 to 260 will eventually set up, and you can be involved in it and maximize your profit. But if you try to push Tesla today and you were on vacation last week and weren't involved in this move, or even on Apple, if you missed this last 4-day move in Apple, or even the 1-day moves that happened in Google on Friday or happened in Microsoft on Friday, if you missed those on Friday, there's just nothing to do here. If there's anything to do, maybe for a Tesla, you could actually be looking for like a day 5 RDR short just off the extension or something like that. But there's really nothing to do for most of this. Then you combine the fact that there's very few daily chart setups, very few stocks in play, with a 5-minute SPY that looks like this, a 5-minute QQQ that looks like this. And I'm telling you that, preserving capital, saving your ammo, it's in some ways the most difficult things for us to do as traders, and in some ways it's the most important thing for us to do as traders, because you cannot treat every day like it's the same, because they're not the same. Certain days will give you much more opportunity, and other days will give you much less, and today was just a day to do nothing, and it just is what it is. So It's pretty much all I got, which isn't too much, which is great because I'm super jet lagged at this point, and I could use a nap. But of course, I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has. So first thing I'm seeing here is from Chris K. Do you have any ideas or trade setups for a name like Tesla to go long? Let me read the rest of your question. I usually cannot justify taking any trades long this far away from the daily EMAs or the mean area. I know a ton of traders are making a lot of money long. I just don't have a playbook for this much upward extension, or am I just seeing this wrong? Yeah, I think, I know you wrote the question out and I was still blabbering on with my portion of the meeting. I think I kind of just answered it already. I am the way that I approach markets. I'm not a 2-minute chart momentum trader where the daily chart doesn't matter, and I never will be. And I don't think that that's a good approach, to be totally honest. With that said, I am also humble enough to say that any way that anybody can make money consistently, I support. But I could tell you, for me personally, like I was just saying, you look at a chart like Tesla, there is nothing to do here. And if there's anything to do here, for me, it'd be looking on the short side, not the long side. And counter trend trading is much harder than with trend trading. I would much rather be long, I don't know, the $200 breakout than trying to short at 240 when it peaks at 260 because I think it's too extended, right? We spent a lot of time in the past talking about how difficult it can be to trade counter trend and counter momentum. It's the hard money, which isn't to say that we don't do it once in a while. We do the counter trend stuff, but you got to be patient and selective. Pat's very good at it, and Pat was out today, so we're missing our shield, our sword, to approach this market with Pat being on vacation, especially for anything that's counter trend. There's nothing wrong with not having something like this in your playbook for today. The only other thing that I would want to mention is your comment. I know a ton of traders are making a lot of money long. How do you know that? How do you know that? I don't think you know that. I think maybe you're seeing people saying that they are or whatever, but and even if you did, it doesn't matter. I think one of the worst things that you can do is get in your head, a lot of people are making money in this market or this stock or this whatever, so therefore I should be also, and there's something wrong with me if I'm not. First of all, from my experience, for the most part, anybody that talks about how much money they make is probably full of shit. I mean, a lot of you guys have been on my team here and working with me for a while. How often do you actually hear me talk about like my P&L? Like, I'm not gonna say never, but fairly rarely. I'll say once in a while I had like a really good day or a really bad day or something like that. But I don't really ever talk about my P&L. It doesn't matter what my P&L is. It doesn't matter what traders' P&L and Tesla is. What matters is the process. So the right question is, hey, is there a process when I'm looking at Tesla on a day 5 where I can be involved and make money? That's the question that we want to analyze. And for me, that question is no / maybe to the short side, just off of like an extreme extension trade with the right setup or something like that. And then it's building out like your playbook, just like you're saying, to be able to be able to take advantage of appropriate setups. So appreciate the question, Chris. Hope it helps. Not seeing anything else on the VTF, so popping over to the YouTube. SoFi question from you, Vixie Bull, on SoFi. SoFi was super disappointing to me. I was actually just talking about it into the close. Why SoFi no go up? Why SoFi no go up? I don't know. I was really disappointed with SoFi's action today. I thought that if this thing could get above 650 with the pre-market relative strength in the IWM, which usually means that KRE is strong, which it kind of wasn't if the IWM is strong, then SoFi can go as well. And there was zero participation in SoFi. It was very weak. I would say that growth didn't really participate with the IWM today generally. If you look at a lot of, where's ARK today? Did ARK even close green? Yeah, ARK closed down small. IWM was up 0.7%. Growth really didn't participate today. SoFi is a little weird because it's a bank, so sometimes it kind of trades with those regional banks a little bit, but it's also really a growth stock, so sometimes it trades with the growth stocks a little bit. So why is SoFi no go up? Me not know. But I was disappointed that this thing couldn't really clear through 650 off the open and then give continuation. And if anything, this chart's starting to look really bad. I still like the fundamentals of SoFi at these prices, so I'm in this thing for the long run. But yeah, me not know. I need some sleep. From Cyril. Hey everyone, I was missing the afternoon meeting. I didn't do one all last week, so I don't know what happened. I don't know if Josh was able to broadcast on YouTube or not. I hope he was, but I didn't actually ask. I was too busy trying to relax. The IWM is still weak. It sure is. I really would like to see it get going. So would I, but I feel it might be early. What are your thoughts on signals to look for the Russell? My concern is if the Qs and SPY is correct that the IWM might go lower. Yeah, I'm starting to have that concern also. So here's the thing with the IWM right now. I think it needs to go soon. I'm definitely concerned about a pullback in August, maybe even beginning in late July. I keep talking about right now in the short run, I don't see any catalyst for us to go down. And if we're not going down, we should continue to kind of grind higher. We know that early July is a very strong period seasonably. A lot of money gets rotated into the market. A lot of new money comes in just for the new half of the year. So what I was looking for starting from last week, which didn't really happen last week. It could happen this week. If it happens this week, it would still be just fine. I really wanted to see if some of the new money that was supposed to come into the market here for the beginning of July would actually come in more on the IWM side than it would on the QQQ side. That's what I was looking for. We didn't see it last week. I thought maybe we were seeing it this morning, and then, like I'm saying, that this daily candle is very disappointing. And then my concern, I guess, is similar to your concern, is if this IWM doesn't actually start getting going and getting some rotation, and we get market weakness, which tends to happen to begin with. August is usually a weaker month, and that's especially true when you're going into an election cycle. Like that August through November period until the election tends to be a pretty weak time for the market. I'm concerned that if this Russell can't go soon, that it's not going to go this year, or if it does, it'll go in, post-election. It'll be a late end of the year move, and that will be after like a broader correction. And then the question that I'll start to ask myself is, if the market corrects end of June or in August, end of July or in August, is that just money that then just pours out of where the leadership was, which is where all the money is anyway, or do they just sell everything and we get a little bit of a higher VIX and correlations begin to increase among stocks on the way down again? So that's kind of becoming a concern for me as well, that if we can't get this move soon, that we might not get it. So I appreciate the question. I have the same exact concern as you, and I was telling the team in the VTF earlier, I'm still being fairly aggressive right now with my trading to the long side. I'm probably looking to back off as early as post OPEX in July, if not the beginning of August, is kind of my current thought process, which my thought process definitely changes a lot as new information comes in. That's what I'm thinking right now. Robert wants to know how Greece was. Greece was awesome. I was there once a long time ago, but I was in a different part. I was in Rhodes, and this time I was in Athens, Crete, and Santorini. It was really awesome. Enjoy it, Josh. Yeah, it was incredible. I went to like an awesome beach in Crete, Balos Beach it's called, and then Santorini was just like the most relaxing place I've ever been. I tend to not be, just my personality when I travel, I like to do stuff. I've never been the type of person who just wants to just like go to a Caribbean island and sit on a beach for a week, which is fun, don't get me wrong. And I don't hate on anybody that likes to do that, but I kind of just need, like, my type of vacation is when I come back from a vacation that I need a vacation, and this was not that. And honestly, yeah, Santorini was like the most. I did nothing, and it was awesome. I mean, I didn't do nothing. I was on a catamaran for a day, which was really really cool. But for the most part, I just did absolutely nothing. I was just chilling, and I normally don't do that, and it was awesome. It was just super super relaxing. Thanks for asking, Robert. Appreciate it. From Cyril. Also funny how sometimes we have a bear bar in the IWM and a bull bar in the QQQ. Could it be some indication of a rotation that causes negative correlation between the Russell and Tech? Yeah, so I was talking about that during the day today also, and I've noticed this the last couple of months, and I don't think I have ever noticed this like this before ever in my entire trading career, where even on a 5-minute time frame, it looks like the Qs and the IWM are literally trading inversely from one another, and you can even see it just throughout the day today. The IWM was strong off the open, the Qs were weak, and then the IWM failed really hard here at like 11:15. Really between 11 and 12 is when the IWM failed really hard. What did the Qs do between 11 and 12? Had its biggest uptick of the day. IWM selling off, Qs going straight up. And then I'm trying to remember when that was when I noticed it. And then in this, it might have been within this bounce. Let me look at the 12:25 5-minute candle for both. No, it wasn't the 12. Maybe it was this one. Oh yeah, 12:25 candle. But the Qs ended up tailing up. But I remember watching this candle in real time, and I was like, holy cow. Even on a 5-minute chart, look at this. Like, Q's just selling down on this 5-minute bar, while on that same 5-minute bar for the IWM, it's creating a pivot low and going directly up. The Qs and the IWM are literally trading inversely from one another on a 5-minute chart, and until recent times, I've never seen that before. Markets traditionally always moved together, at least to some degree. You'd have relative strength here and relative weakness there. But from an index perspective, to see one go up as one goes down is very bizarre. But that's just been the environment that we've been in. It's been more of a rotation environment as the Qs have been as strong as they have been. Kevin wants to know if I ever found a good spot in London to dine. I absolutely did. I ate in a few spots that were really good. London's got some incredible Indian food. I went to one Michelin star Indian restaurant that was great. I don't remember the name of it. I went to one other Indian restaurant that was not Michelin star that I thought was even better. But like traditional British food is pretty trash. But the biggest problem was really more kind of late at night during the week. You know, finishing at 11 o'clock, 10, 11 o'clock from working, and then trying to find food at most places. Eventually, a good pal was able to point me in the right direction for some spots. If you worked for it a little bit, you could find some spots that were open later, but they didn't make it easy. From Kevin G. Also, do you trade anything with MOC? I don't. Curious as to your thoughts with what you may have seen. We'll be creating a database to look for some edge. I don't trade MOCs. I know people that do. Back in the day, before the market was as computerized as it was, trading MOCs was a big edge for like old school day traders. MOCs would hit, you would manually kind of trade them and front run them, and the market would move in the direction of the MOC. Everyone I know who trades in those strategies, which almost all of them have computerized it. I do know a few people who still trade it manually, but whether I'm talking about someone who trades it with an algorithm or who trades it manually, every single person I know will tell you that trade has gotten significantly more difficult over the course of the last few years, and that their edge will tend to only be now, their edge will only tend to be on like the really big MOC days, like the options X days or a Russell Shuffle day or an end of quarter, maybe end of month, where they can still find a little bit of edge. And otherwise, it's just too hard because the computers, first of all, are too fast for the manual traders for the most part. And even with that, it's gotten so much more difficult because so many people are involved in that trade, and then it moves the other direction, and the MOCs flip. It's just really hard. I think it's good data to pay attention to, though. I do like knowing what the number is. I do like seeing it because it does affect the market, and it moves my positions and everything. But as far as like directly trading it, especially if you're a manual discretionary day trader, very, very, very hard. People that I know who do it, who can still do it with some degree of success, have just been doing it for so long that they've mastered it so well that it'll be hard, I think, to catch up to their edge, especially as it's become more difficult. Nice videos from today. Yeah, we have a couple cool summer interns, and I think one of them has had the responsibility of kind of using so Mike Reed on the team here for a while has been keeping an Excel spreadsheet where he was like kind of drawing out topics that I speak of in certain afternoon meetings if anyone wants to go in for a review of those. And then we've had one of the summer interns basically utilize that spreadsheet to go into some old afternoon meetings to pull out things that could basically be like little mini lessons to separately post into the YouTube. So definitely check all that stuff out. Some cool little lessons in there, and as you like them, make sure to press the thumbs up button. Nice, Cody. Yeah, I didn't make it to Mykonos. I hear that's the party town, the party island. Sounds like I'm sure you had a great time. And Santorini was sick. Cool. Anybody else have anything to mention or to review? Going once. Going twice. Sold. All right. Have a great night, everybody. See you all tomorrow.